Appreciate everybody being here and coming out to listen to about our players and as we move forward into this homecoming game against a tremendous West Virginia team. I think for our guys, obviously Saturday did not go the way we wanted, and but we do have another opportunity this week, and that's a tremendous opportunity to get better and go play football. And most importantly, I would say to have a chance to come home after a month away and play in front of our fans and play in front of all the people that believe in our kids and believe in our program. And so I know for that we're extremely excited. And I was proud of our players in that tough environment on Saturday. I thought they came out and they competed at a high level early. The game got away from us, and if there's something we have to correct, it's just sort of that feeling of oh, here we go again when one bad play leads to three bad plays. And so that's as we continue to work on their psyche and continue to work on the way that they look at the game. That can't happen. We can never get used to losing. We can never allow those thoughts to enter our brain because bad thoughts, beget bad actions. And so, but I did think that they finished the game the right way. I know they're hurting. I know we're beat up. I know that we're mentally, struggling a little bit in terms of, why is this happening? Why are we going through this? And as I said to our players, this is probably one of the toughest times of their life. It's the last 6 regular season games last year didn't go the way they wanted. Found a way to win the bowl game. New staff come in. We're asking them to do so many things that are different and also that are harder in school, in study hall, in football. And you're doing all these things that are so much harder, and it's so hard to do, and you're not getting the results that you want. It's natural to say, well, why? Why am I doing this? Why isn't it working? And my message to our kids is very simply, it hasn't not worked yet on the scoreboard, but there's a lot of guys playing significantly better football. And there's a lot of players that are getting significantly better, and there's improvement all around. And you know what? As I told them, there's going to be a day when, we're not going to lose forever. There's going to be a day when we win. But the biggest thing right now is that our players are going through this tough time, probably one of the toughest times of their life, and it's how they go through it, and it's what they learn from it, and it's how they emerge from it. And if they attack it, if they don't blame other people, if they continue to press forward, then you know what? They'll say, I was one of the mentally toughest players in college football. These kids, and I said it after the game, these kids are unbelievably tough, mentally tough. And they've been through a lot, and they continue to fight, and they continue to scratch, and they continue to claw. And it's those guys that go out and represent us on Saturday that I'm proud of. And I hope our fans come out. I hope our fans cheer for the kids. I hope our fans go to the Bear Walk and slap those kids on the back, because those kids, even in the last 2 weeks, have endured a lot, and yet they continue to show up and represent their school with pride. And I'm excited we're going to bring a ton of recruits here this Saturday, and I want them to see what Baylor football and Baylor University and Baylor Nation is all about. I had recruits at the Oklahoma game say to me, I had one almost one of the best players, almost emotional, saying just seeing our crowd stand up and cheer for his team, this team, after losing, just seeing that outpouring of emotion and support for the team in a tough time, what that meant to him. And that's what this is all about to me. It's about we're going through this tough time. These players did not bring about this tough time, but they're going through it, and they're going through it in a tough way, and they're fighting through it. So I hope everyone shows up there just to say, hey, we love you. Shows up to say, hey, you know what, we support you, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to show up, and we're going to fight our tails off. I'm taking the whole team to the homecoming, pep rally on Friday night. I want them to see all the people that believe in them and all the people that support them and all the people that believe in Baylor. I want all of our recruits to see, you know what, if this is what it's like when things are tough, imagine what it's going to be like when things are great. If this is what it's like when things are down, imagine the support you're going to get when things are great. And so I think it's a tremendous opportunity this weekend in recruiting. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for our players. And I'm just hopeful that we'll go out and compete at a high level. I mean, this is an outstanding team that we're playing in West Virginia. Great offense. Will Greer is fantastic. Coach Holgerson does a great job. David Sills is someone that I've known for a long time. And, they do a great job offensively. They came back down 34-17 or whatever it was and came back and beat Texas Tech. Just an impressive game. Really should have beat TCU. And you can tell that they're one of the top teams in the Big 12. Defensively, create a bunch of havoc. It was a hard-fought game last year at their place that they were able to pull out. So it'll be a tremendous battle. It'll be a great opportunity for us, and we'll see how we bounce back from last week. But I wanted to make sure I said all that. And, the last thing I'll say is this, because I think it's important to put things in perspective. My wife and son and 2 daughters and her father-in-law and Coach Sarava's wife and their 3 children and a babysitter all got piled into a 15-passenger van and drove to Oklahoma City and stayed in Oklahoma City. Then they drove over to the game. And they go to the game, and my son's like an eternal optimist. He's like, I mean, he's just like, you know, he's been through this before, so he's recognized that losing breeds toughness, which breeds winning. And, you know, he's 12. And he's sitting there at the game, and like literally, so my father-in-law's in a wheelchair, so they had to sit sort of in the wheelchair section, so they're kind of all around Oklahoma State fans, right? And so my son's cheering, and we're getting our tail kicked, and he just keeps cheering the whole time. Because he doesn't cheer just when we're winning. You know, my son doesn't just cheer because the score is going in our favor. He cheers because his players are on the field. He cheers because he's there to cheer for Eric Oger and Clay Johnson no matter what. And, you know, maybe, you know, that's kind of uncool, and maybe someone says something to him or whatever. But my son made his way over and was able to sit by the band. And my wife just afterwards, she said just how unbelievably powerful the impact our band had on my son. Just how positive the kids in our band are. Just how relentlessly supportive they were during that game. Even when we're losing, like they didn't stop cheering. They didn't pull out their phones and start, you know, which you should see me watch a game on Thursday night. I pull out my phone after like 4 plays, right? They just cheered for Baylor. And so, you know what? I want to go there on Saturday, and I want to play really well for the band. I want to play really well for the Baylor line, which we stole a member of the Baylor line to go out and kick off for us, I guess. But I want to go out there and play really well for all the people that love and support us, because you know what? You find out who has your back in tough times. And there's so many people that have had our back. There's so many people that have these players' backs. And that's a special thing about this place. And so we want to make sure that we go out and represent those people the right way. So with that was a long opening statement. I apologize, but I'll see what you guys have for me.
Matt, does this West Virginia offense, with its balance, its explosiveness, look a lot like the one you just faced?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, they can score points in bunches. They have great receivers, just like Oklahoma State had great receivers. They run the football. They're rugged up front. This is another one that's going to take what they give you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Oklahoma State did a great job of, if you gave them a run box, they ran the football. If you dropped the safety down or played man to man, they threw the ball outside. And what I do know is I do know our cornerbacks are. I know Graylin Arnold and Blake Lynch and Harrison Hand and Jamison Houston they're gonna show up to play on Saturday. I know that. And those guys are tough kids, and it was a tough day. It wasn't just a tough day for them; it was a tough day for everybody. But they're sort of in the spotlight, and I know that they're anxious to play because these guys have, between White and Sills, they have great receivers as well. And you better play well in the back end if you want to have a chance.
Following up on that, I don't think you've had the same 4 combination in the starting lineup in the secondary all year. I mean, how would you just evaluate their development at secondary?
That's a great question. I'd say, like culturally, we're kind of used to getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like we're kind of like, that's one of the things that's one of the things that over time will change, right? It's one of, guys are saying, well, Coach, why do we practice the way we practice? Because, Sean Chandler started every game for me for 3 years. Basically, I'm used to guys not just, every play like, my shoulder, I'm down, next guy's in, So we got to kind of move them past that. But I do think guys have developed. I think one of the hard things about playing corner is you have to have a game where you get beat. And you have to, it stinks. And you get beat a couple times. And you come in on Sunday and either you're done, you're shell-shocked, and you're never back again, or you come in on Sunday and you're like, that ain't happening again. And so that's Graylin Arnold. Graylin Arnold's out there with a cast on his hand, because he broke his arm and he knocks the ball out. I think they've gotten better, but we're just not playing great all the time in the back end, and really it shows up more in the run game or in the tackling. If we just tackle a little bit better in the open field, maybe at the safety and corner positions, that's not that game. All those long plays were all just plays that you would say there's no way that play will ever work, and it did. Just because their kid made a play and our kid didn't. And so what do? We don't complain about it. We just continue to develop our players and try to get them to go make those tackles and continue to recruit guys that are going to go make those tackles. So I'd say they've gotten better. As I said to a couple guys, we are the team that lost to Liberty and gave up 500 yards, 600 yards against Liberty. We did almost beat Oklahoma, or hang in there with Oklahoma, I should say. I shouldn't say almost beat. We did hang, we are getting better, right? But, it's just not where it needs to be. So just what do? You just keep getting better, right? You keep coaching. So I think a lot of guys, Harrison Hand has just every week. Now he got beat one time this game, but he's just gotten better and better and better. Really, I think it's just been our revolving door at safety has really been, hard for us to get any sort of continuity, and tackling at safety has hurt us. I think that's been the biggest thing since Duke. That would maybe, while a lot of our explosive plays are happening.
Previous 3 games, you were held under 100 yards rushing, and then Saturday exploded for 219 yards. How pleased were you to see that the running game was finally able to get going?
Really pleased. And, we've worked really hard at it. That's been a point of emphasis just with the way we're practicing. And, to me, I think that's a commitment to, I want to make sure I say this, but I think on our scout team defense, we have guys like Will Jones and James Lockhart transferred in from A&M, and Cole Maxwell and Cheedy. These guys, we really practice the run game, and we're trying to get better at it. And kind of similar to our defensive backs, we've had to shift our offensive line lineup. Literally, you have to report to the officials anytime you change someone's number. So I had to go to them 5 times on Saturday and say, okay, now Josh Malin is now moving from tight end back to tackle. Now he's going from tackle back to tight end just because Mo went down and then X got beat. So we got a little bit beat up on the O-line. But I think our O-line, if there's any position that shows the progress that we've made, if there's any position that shows that they're committed to the process of getting better, then it's been them. And I think Terrence was really nice, really fantastic on Saturday. Terrence played a great game. Lovett played a great game early. Ebner popped a couple runs. We couldn't really get J. Mike loose. But I thought those guys, really overall, and then the tight ends really stepped up. And had that score not gotten away from us, I think we probably would have gotten up near 300, yards. We would have been able to continue to run the football, but, it got away and kind of had to change how we were playing. But I just think, Terrence played a really good game. You could see, hey, he's coming along, and he wanted to continue to play, and I pulled him out with that shoulder. I didn't want to get him banged up for no reason. But hopefully we can continue that versus a good West Virginia defense.
How good is Greer, and how do you try to stop a guy that plays the way he does?
Well, the thing about Greer is that he can not just throw it, he can run, and he's really intelligent. Things that they ask you to do, or they ask them, it looks like, to, hey, run box, run it, passing box, throw it, right, and see all that. And they have all the RPOs built in. So, he was a good player at Florida. He's a really good player now, and he can beat you with his feet. He can pull the ball down and run. He can beat you with his head, and he can beat you with his arms. So, again, now that's 4 great quarterbacks in a row that we've seen, and that's why that's the Big 12, right? There's great quarterbacks, and but I also like his toughness, his moxie. I mean, you can tell he's the kind of guy you'd want to go win with.
Tony Nicholson had a good game, particularly late, made some plays for you guys late. You continue to see that receiving core step up each week. It's another guy kind of stepping up and taking the torch.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. On Saturday we just kind of got depleted at receiver. With you take from our initial thought at receivers, Blake Lynch playing defense now, Chris Platt hurt, Mims had the flu, really couldn't do much on Saturday, and that was our plan. Kind of going in was to run the ball and kind of get the ball in Mims' hands, and just was sick and just couldn't get going. Pooh Strickland got hurt. I think he'll probably be out this week. So really, Tony became the kind of the viable guy to go make some plays happen, and I was pleased with Tony. Tony's been a guy that he and I are a work in progress, kind of learning how to coexist. And I was really proud of him, and I've challenged him a ton. And the fact that we were behind and he wasn't pouting, and he didn't touch the ball early on very much, and he didn't complain, and he just competed to the end of the game. Very, very proud of Tony, and I think that'll accentuate his role now, especially with Pooh being probably out. I don't know 100%, but probably out. I think Tony will have to become a bigger factor in our passing game.
What are the characteristics of a Jake Spavital offense?
I think they kind of do. They have sort of they use the whole field. They're explosive in terms of getting the ball in the playmakers' hands. They see what defense you're in, and they'll violate that defense. So they'll give you something that looks like, hey, this is this route, and all of a sudden they have a double move off of it. So you have to be so disciplined in the back end. And what ends up happening is, even when you see the route, you know what it is, you're kind of afraid to go make a play. And then I think the biggest thing is, studying what they're doing is, they're committed to running the football. They're going to run the football. And so I think it's really well put together. It's really well designed, but then they have a toughness about them that, this is one of the teams I grew up knowing, West Virginia, being a Penn State guy. I knew West Virginia. West Virginia's always had a toughness. My wife's dad and mom both went to West Virginia. They have the team's always had a toughness. And so for a spread offense, their receivers block. For a spread offense, their quarterback he's going to take hits. He's going to play hard. They're going to run the football. So I think it's a nice mix of both.
What is
Lovett and Porter, what's their injury situation looking like?
Yeah, Porter will go. Porter's good to go. And Lovett, I'd have to see after today's practice. He didn't do anything yesterday, but that was by design. So I'm hopeful he can do something today. So he'd be maybe, questionable for the game.
If your in-laws went to West Virginia, do they root for Baylor this week?
Yeah, my father-in-law's actually with us, and that was you can come stay with us, but here's the rules.
Whenever you came to the conference, there were a lot of, offenses pretty wide open. Did that make it kind of intriguing to see how you kind of fit in here and what your, what your system will look like against some of these offenses?
Yeah, I probably won't be able to really say that for like a year or two, because it's sort of right now. Like someone asked me on the conference call yesterday about sort of our change in offense. It's really every week it's sort of like who's healthy, like last week, the receivers were all banged up, so we came out and Feuerbach was back, so we came out in 2 tight ends, and then late in the game we were spread out. The thing that we want to do is we just want to find a way to run the football, and I think the one thing that's been nice is that Zach has really emerged, and it's. Guys were dropping the ball a lot and were kind of running some of the wrong routes on Saturday. Sometimes it just wasn't a great day in the passing game. But I think the thing that we saw was that Zach will stand in there and he'll make big-time throws when he can. So, we're sort of a work in progress as we get all those people. If I could go back like a month ago, I'd say, well, we're going to probably be in 4 wides a lot with Platt, with Blake, with Pooh, Tony, with Mimsy. But as they've gotten hurt or had to go help us in other places, we've tried to adapt. I think the backs have been a pleasant surprise as Lovett's emerged. So, but the thing that when you watch this league, the thing that the good teams have in common is they have a great quarterback. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really you can say it's this system, it's that system, but like when Kansas State has Ertz out there playing, they do it their way, but he's really effective, and Baker is effective, and Mason Rudolph was effective, and Will Greer's effective. So. That's as we move forward. We're just going to try to build things, I think, around Zach and around Charlie, and try to make sure that we put pieces around them that can go make plays, but always find a way to run the football, much like West Virginia does.
Talk about Connor Martin's contributions this year, kicking and now punting.
Yeah, I mentioned that yesterday. I mentioned that yesterday actually in our team meeting, just how we've coached him really hard. Because in preseason he just really struggled, and he's emerged as one of the more consistent guys on our team. And then to take over the punting duties, I thought he did a really nice job punting. And we're kicking field goals now. We're kicking 45-yarders without even thinking about it. And so he's brought a consistency to us that's been nice. And I would say it's all been Connor's hard work. It's all been his mental toughness. He missed an extra point at Duke, missed a field goal at Oklahoma, and then all of a sudden after that point, it's clicked. And he said, "I can do this." And so we're really pleased with him, and pleased that Jay has emerged. And so now he doesn't have to do all 3, because I think if Connor had to do all 3, that would take an effect on him.
At the start of the year, I think you were thinking about Drew as maybe the long field goal kicker. Did Connor just get better or more
Connor's
consistent?
gotten better. Yeah, Connor's gotten more and more consistent, and as he's gotten the thing with kicking long field goals is a lot of the kids have the leg to do it, but they start saying to themselves, "Oh, it's a long field goal," and they run up there and they just overthink it. It's like it's like when you try to overhit a golf club and the ball goes there. It's like so he has just, as he's shown that I can make these kicks, he's gotten more and more confident, so he just hits it like he's hitting his pitching wedge, and he's knocking the ball in from deeper. I mean, the one kick on Saturday, that we didn't block them. One guy ran in, should have blocked the kick, and he just didn't bother him. Kicked the ball right through. And Connor was a guy in preseason that if there was any pressure, he would kind of kick and stop. So I just love the way he's been focused. I love the way that he's been locked in, and that's another guy. You try in the midst of things kind of going the way they are, you try to find guys that are getting better, and just keep pushing those guys forward. So he's become a good weapon for us.
What's your relationship with I guess David Sills? How did that start?
Just he was at I forget the name of the school. He played for Coach Thomas, but they would bring their kids to camp, and so David would come. He came. He never participated in our camp because I think at the time he was going to USC or whatever, but he would come over with the different kids from the school, and so just got to meet him a couple times, got to know him just there. So not much other beyond that, but he's someone that we knew as a player, and we watched him when he was in 9th and 10th grade, and to see him now develop as a real weapon. I mean, he's a real weapon, and so they do a great job too. Ask about Coach Spavital. They do a great job of finding ways to get him the football and letting him be explosive. So I'm happy to see him, in all these other games but ours. I'm happy to see him, play so well and really become a good player and kind of go through the journey that he's been on. And I use the word process, and people look at me like talking about a guy that's been on a process, right? I mean, he's a quarterback, then I'm a tight end, I'm a JC, then I'm a receiver, and now he's going out and he's playing his best football late, and that's a credit to him.
Yeah, what have you seen from Tayon since he came back, and where is he in terms of maybe even being a leader in that back end?
I think Tayon tries to lead. He tries to lead by example. He tries to lead by deed. He got banged up in the game, with his shoulder and had to come out. But Tan's a guy that gives us effort. Tan's a guy that comes out and practices hard every day. He's playing on special teams. He's one of those seniors. We have a great senior group that they are committed to trying to, fight to win every week, and they're committed to trying to make sure that, they leave here the way they want to leave here. And so I think Tan's, a guy that went through some adversity last year, breaking his foot, and he's back now, and I think he's trying to make the most of every day that he has.
You had Jay, I guess, in a camp this summer, or he had a tryout or whatever at Sedgwick. Did you have confidence in him going out there? I mean, as little as you had seen him?
Yeah. So, literally after the game, I started getting like emails to, hey, if you guys need somebody, I'm here. So we brought a couple kids out from campus, and they kicked and tried out and had just known Jay. I don't know that I remember even seeing him at camp, though. I just kind of knew his name, and we thought, we had kind of hit our roster limit. We'll see you in the spring. And he went out there in practice, and then I brought him back on like Tuesday and said, okay, he can have a second tryout, and he can kick during practice and with the bullets flying. He's out there kicking with the bullets flying, and where else are you gonna do? Put him in there. He's kicking the ball, and the most impressive thing to me was that he kicked the ball and then made that tackle down the right sideline. And for a guy that loves defense, I love watching great tackling. That's one of the things that's holding us back right now is our tackling. To see a great tackle by a kicker was exciting, and so, it's a great find for us, and it's credit to him, Literally, he's running in the Baylor line in the first game, and he's kicking off against Oklahoma State. Like, it's chapter 4 in my book, from the dorm to the field. That's that chapter. So, just, all these things. But you know what? The great thing about it, and as I said to our players, you're going through these tough times, this adversity, but, like, we've got a guy that's going to go kick off for us probably for the next 4 years, You just keep finding things. You keep in all the tough times. You just keep trying to find the kernel of truth that's there and improve the team and find kids that are getting better. And so that's an unbelievable story. I've never had anything close to that. And so we'll see how he does this week. But he's getting better, and he's a good player on the team. Just to give you just to be lighthearted, like Blackmar's kind of like Blake Blackmar. He's kind of the guy that like says whatever's on his mind and all those things. And so we're in walkthrough on Friday getting ready for the game, and there was no school, so I let all the kids that weren't traveling go home. So we had to use all the specialists as the defense. So Blackmar gets up there and he says, put that new kicker in. I want to knock him down or whatever. And he says, I'm right here. He didn't even know who he was. He said, I'm right here. And he got out in the game, and as Blackmar said, he said, after he made those kicks, no, I got to be nice to him. That's what he said to me last night. So, but, credit to the kid, credit to Jay. So, and we'll have him now for 4 years.
Do you know you can tackle?
Not only did I not know he's never even done a tackling drill with us. So his last tackle was probably at some point in high school a year or 2 years ago. So he stepped up, made a play.
Having that energy that he brings kind of infused that into the team, like, look, this guy's going down and making a tackle on kickoffs. Does it help you kind of?
I think our team was fired up about that. I think our team was excited to see him do those things. And it's, I think you just have to, in times like this, you have to point out to guys, hey, I know, I don't pay attention to all this, but I just want you to see how much better you're playing than you were playing before, or point out like the bright spots of, hey, look at what he's doing. Look at, Terrence. Look at. I think the whole Terrence saga, the whole Terrence story is a great example of what we believe in, right? We believe in just keep pushing people forward, and so, Tony. I mentioned Tony, but I think all those positive stories are, give the kids energy and give the kids hope and let them know that, no matter who you are, you're going to get an opportunity at some point. Everyone's going to get an opportunity at some point. You better be ready for it. And Jay was ready for his opportunity, whether it was last Monday in the tryout, last Tuesday in the tryout, or Saturday versus Oklahoma State. He was ready.
Yeah, book coming out.
We'll see. I'm writing it daily.
All right.
Hey, thank you very much.